気まずい。なんでこの人ずっと斜め下見てるんだ。怒ってんの？なんか怒ってんの？いかんいかん。盛り上げなければ。なんかよくわかんないけど盛り上げなければ。よーし、俺のターン。
Hello everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here. Today I am talking to you about Black Clover. So, written and drawn by Yuki Tabata, published in Shonen Jump, right? This started in 2015 of February, nearing its fifth consecutive year, or starting its fifth year anyways, right? Already at 23 volumes, that's a lot. And I've talked about this manga before, and the last time I talked about this manga was in 2016, which was, man, I didn't realize it was that long. Last time I talked about this, this is like, I think, a little bit over 40 chapters that I read Black Clover. I am now caught up, which, let me grab the chapter real quick, see where I'm at. And, of course, as I did last time on the other episodes, I went back to check what my thoughts were back when I just started it. And, I'm all caught up to the latest chapter of 235. So, over 200-ish chapters were about there last time I talked about it. I stopped reading this around 185-ish, I think. 145, somewhere around those chapter numbers. And, just, it's hard to catch up to manga that you don't read in a while, And, and since I'm, like, taking breaks between Gintama, so that way, we have more than just Gintama coming out, I figured, okay, this is one to come back to. And, again, like I said, I listened back to the old episode, and I like this mangaka, mainly because he was, again, part of the new generation push that Shonen Jump did. There was, I think there's like 24 mangakas that they were showing off with limited series. And one was Hungry Joker, which had an interesting concept using physicists as with their ideas and theories as an actual power for people. And like the main premise was like, we have to get Eden's apple. We had our main character, I think his name was Joker. It's been a while since I read it, but yeah, we had him, and he had he had Newton's apple, and then there was somebody else that had a hammer and like really cool ideas and concepts. So this is the same guy. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And he was the assistant for Siren. He was one of those guys. And, I love Siren. That's one of my favorite Shonen Jump series that's come out within the past like 10 years. And, the art style I really like overall. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it when I was reading it. I felt like, pretty much like a Naruto type elements with, I said RPG stuff. I could kind of understand with the whole team aspect. Tower of God does that as well. And, Goblin Slayer as well. So I thought the story was solid, and I think one of my downers was like the gag aspect. And, I was like, okay, I'm digging it. I want to check it out. And then anime came out. I didn't watch the anime, but I've seen clips, and oh boy. To talk about the anime real quick, I saw some clips, and it's like, man, Asta's voice actor still kind of sounds like in the beginning, pretty kind of rough around the edges. I figured by now, because that came out in 2017. Yeah, 2017. So now it's been about 3 years, coming up on 3 years. So that should be enough time for him to really get a feel of how the character is going to be. Maybe that's just how the gag aspect's really being portrayed, which would be unfortunate. But aside from all that, after catching up, boy, do I have different thoughts on this series. Where to even start? Story. Let's start there. It's not good at all. It tries, and I have to give it props for trying something. I'm surprised I didn't mention this when I first read it, but this is one of the fastest paced mangas you will ever read, ever, right? which is concerning for the anime, anyways, because I remember when the anime started, they added a lot of filler in the beginning, right? And then I saw the arc I just finished, that was maybe like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, is already animated. So that's already pretty crazy. Like that final fight. So I wonder what are they gonna do? They're gonna take a big break because this one just started and it's, it hasn't really kicked up yet. Really, I mean, it started, but we're not totally there. And yeah, it's just so fast paced, and I think that's its uniqueness to it. That's its selling point is, okay, we've all read shonen series. We've all read shonen series from Shonen Jump. We kind of know how they go on, right? They get dragged out by dialogue. There's a lot of flashbacks, a lot of explanations for techniques, a lot of just personal beef or just whatever is happening, to try to keep this arc going at a reasonable pace. But you always feel like it just drags too long, especially when you get to the anime. It just feels like it's taking too long. But here it's just like, no, let's just get to it right now. And that's its selling point. If you want to be a casual manga reader and you're looking for some nice action, in your shonen, this is it. And the art being pretty cool is another aspect to it. And plus it's magic, so it's all over the place versus hand-to-hand combat, so that's another aspect that's going to grab onto you. So in this aspect, this mangaka is smart about it, right? But I just feel after reading it that Tabata here, he feels like he was a big fan of Shonen Jump. There is so much in here that you could just pick and grab from everything. The big three, you got Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. You could easily grab from anything from there, and that's in this manga. And of course that extends even further to Dragon Ball, and even with Hunter x Hunter with the same aspect, because Naruto's just Hunter x Hunter, and then here we are here, and this is pretty much just like Naruto. So there's just so much you've already seen in here, and they're trying not to be a cookie cutter, but it's just, if this manga did not have the fast-paced action, the let's skip all the unnecessary stuff that drags out fights, probably wouldn't have lasted as long as this had. And I don't know, maybe the anime had something to do with it as well. I only remember the backlash for the anime. I don't really remember hearing anything now, but being in conventions over the past few years, definitely always seeing Black Clover cosplays, so maybe there's something there as well. But one thing this does have as well that's good is the characters are interesting, the designs are great, but they're just not fully fleshed out like they should be. It's the whole fast-paced thing. What you lose there is, all this stuff that you're trying to get. And as much as I like the main cast, even Asta's kind of cool, it's just these one-note lines that we get during the fights, like, oh, I have to break my limit. Oh, I'm breaking it, and then it's like, oh, here's my rival. It's like, oh, well, I guess I have to break it now. It takes away a lot of what a shonen series is and should be, and that is disappointing. The newest arc just started a time skip, right? And it was very short, 6 months, which, you usually see like the years for time skips. But I guess the premise of what the story's going on right now, we have to just make it 6 months. And just seeing what we're doing here already, it's not doing it for me anymore, sadly. And oh gosh, don't get me started on the gag aspects. This feels like the early chapters of Hitman Reborn, if you ever read those. It started off as a gag series, and you traditionally, when you have a manga start off as a gag series, it can either stay gag or it goes into some, action, which is what we've seen before. It's mentioned in Bakuman, we've seen it in Hitman Reborn, we've seen it in other series as well, where it's all goofy in the beginning and then we get super serious as it goes on and it actually becomes a lot better as a whole. And here it's, oh, we're starting off as a shonen series, but there's a lot of gags. Like, and the way this guy draws the gag scenes and faces and even the dialogue, it is some of just like, ugh, I'm okay. Like, can we skip this? You know, and especially during like pages that you're reading and a big panel from one of the pages is Asta's face drawn in a gag form, and it's like, I don't really want to see it like this, you know, or like something serious is going on and they think, oh yeah, usually gag will help lighten the tone here, and then we could get serious again. And it's like, that we don't need that all the time. I forget, something serious happened after the last big fight, and then Asta here comes, you know, screaming and all this stuff, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, again, this guy really is a fan of shonen mangas, you know, and I respect that. That's pretty cool. But you can only take being a fan so far, right? Honestly, if you read Bakuman, you know, which I will probably mention throughout all these manga reviews because, you know, it's a manga about making manga. There's this guy who decided to he owns like this corporation because his family's rich. He's like, all right, I'm going to make a manga, but with the fans. You know, I'm going to have a team draw it. We're going to see what people like, take those elements and make it a manga. Right? And the lesson with this character is that it fails, and it's like, yeah, you can't give everybody what they want. It's not going to work like that. It's not that easy. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on here, is he's picking what he likes, and he's getting rid of stuff that he found boring when he was a kid reading, you know, the big three back in the day. But it's just not really working out, guys. Unfortunate to say and to read. I will admit, again, there's some really cool stuff here. I feel like if he got another shot at it, maybe like 5 years from now, after he's, you know, written for a good while, you know, definitely check it out. And it's kind of crazy because in Hungry Joker, right, there was only, 3 volumes, so that's about 28-ish chapters at the most. There wasn't really a lot of gag from what I remember. The story was actually pretty good, really solid. There was no rushing. There was no, let's ignore the basic elements that we need in a shonen series. And I really enjoyed it. And just to see him go from that to here is, you know, very interesting, you know. I'm not really caught up with everything that's going on in Shonen Jump. I'm always seeing new series come left and right, very different series. You know, there's a golf manga called, was it Robot Laser? It looks like we have some kind of shoujo manga in here. You know, there's a lot going on in Shonen Jump that's really shaking it up. Promise Neverland, Dr. Stone are the big hitters right now that are not traditional shonen series, but they're like they're starting to become the new pillars of Shonen Jump. Promise Neverland is going to be ending soon, sadly, so we can't really see that being a pillar. But, you know, still making a big impact on Shonen Jump and not dealing with action is very interesting. And of course, we still see the monster, the Titan One Piece in here, and then, you know, the rising star My Hero still making waves. We have all this interesting stuff. We have traditional stuff, new ideas, foreign ideas from the magazine, all coming together. And then here we have Black Clover, one of the big hitters is what I'm guessing. You know, the popularity has not wavered over the past 3 years since I've read it. And it's just the middleman, you know. I haven't looked at any of the rankings for Shonen Jump, but I could guess this is probably a top fiver in the rankings weekly, but it feels like it's in the bottom, you know, and that's very interesting. I guess because, again, like I said, if you are a casual shonen reader, this is perfect for you. You know, you get exactly what you want in the time that you can read it. You know, I was very surprised how fast I caught up to this manga. You know, I read like 60-80 chapters in like just like a day or two, a few days. You know, that's pretty crazy, man. So I think if you like the basic idea of what a shonen magazine can offer you, you know, if you like high octane action, minimal character development, this is for you, you know, and we do get character development, but it's not grounded hard enough to feel like anything, you know. Like again, like if we give this guy another 5 years and he starts a new series, I feel like he can totally do it. He's done it before. It's just sad to see a series like this with interesting stuff going on and not hitting it, you know. Like, I like all the designs for the characters, and again, they're all great, like I've been saying, but I don't know, I just can't see myself sticking with the series. Maybe once it's over, I'll come back, and maybe at that point I'll see how many chapters I'm far behind it. But yeah, I don't know, like this arc, what are they going to do after is the big question, I think. I could see maybe one more. I could feel like the current arc we're in, where like there's a war going on with the other kingdoms, but there's only 4 kingdoms. You know, how far are we going to get into dealing with 3 kingdoms, you know? And then the arc after that would probably have to deal with the demons, you know, which demons, right, Asta's power, anti-magic, and it's like, oh, it's power of a demon. It's like, oh, this, you know, and just seeing the demon form and everything, I'm like, yep, I've seen this so many times in Shonen Jump specifically, you know. First I thought it was Toriko, because Toriko has demons inside of him, you know, and all the other Shonen magazines that are very similar to that. But I don't know, other than that, I have nothing else to say. But there's not going to be a part 3 for this. Who knows? Maybe there will be. We'll see where I'm at, like years down the line on this list. You know, I still have so many manga to read, and I don't feel like Black Clover is worth coming back to. It's unfortunate to say, but it is what it is, guys. So that's all I have to say about Black Clover. Again, if you like generic stuff, this is for you. I tried checking out the animation and the fights to see how it was, and it looks fine. It looks all right, you know, so I could see where that popularity is as well. But yeah, I just hate to see me let go of a manga. You know, it's rare for me to do that, and yeah, this one just didn't want to do it, man. So that's all I got to say, guys, for Black Clover. Are you guys reading it or watching it? I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me hear some positive feedbacks about this series, and I'll talk about it on a later episode. And you can email us, unversedpodcast@gmail.com for that. Follow us on social media, Unversed Podcast, anywhere you go. And remember, you can follow us on social media. Our info's in the description as well. So let's kick back and listen to some music. Homie, why you acting bitter for? Ric Flair up in this bitch, a living rapping figure 4. I put it down, get the chef and simmer more. Got your girl all in my DMs, hit a blunt and hit ignore. Been that slick, been that pretty bitch, been that semi shit. I've been slick, fucking Sharon Slime, I just turned 26. Spin a grip, feel like my shit, I've been zooted this shit since like my tape dropped. I want it until I get it, bitch, I can't stop. Pop a tag, drop a tab, feel my face melt. I see God, I know how Mace felt. Bitch, I'm on, ho, I swear it. If the crown fits, I'll motherfucking wear it. I don't know.